News.
Herald and News, your news now.
The Herald and News.
Empowering the community.
Basin Views.
Herald and News, your news now. Klamath Falls, Oregon.
The Herald and News.
Podcast. Empowering the community and serving the Klamath Basin. This is the Herald and News Basin Views podcast. Greetings and welcome to Basin Views, a Herald and News podcast featuring interviews with local experts discussing issues important to the Klamath Basin. I'm Kurt Liedtke with the Herald and News. This week we are joined by Merritt Driscoll, Director of Blue Zones Project here in Klamath Falls, a healthy lifestyle initiative that in its few short years in the community has made a big difference in helping residents make healthier choices. Merritt, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to join us.
Thanks for having me today.
I always like to start these off before we delve into just what Blue Zones Project is to get to know our guests a little bit more. So could you tell us more about yourself, please?
My name's Merritt. I was born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana. I've lived in Klamath Falls for 7 years now. Prior to Klamath, my husband and I actually lived in Tanzania, East Africa. I was working at a medical school there teaching community health. Since moving to Klamath Falls, I worked for Klamath Tribal Health in maternal and child health and tobacco prevention. And then I've worked for Sky Lakes Medical Center at CARES and child abuse. And then I moved over to Blue Zones Project. I was the project manager for 3 years, and now I'm the director.
So how did you first get involved with Blue Zones Project?
I was a part of the Healthy Klamath Coalition, and that was the coalition that really sought to bring Blue Zones Project to Klamath Falls.
So maybe we should start at the beginning in terms of what Blue Zones Project actually is and how it ended up here in Klamath Falls.
Sure. So Blue Zones Project is a community health improvement initiative. It's designed to optimize the environment to make healthy choices easier for individuals and our community as a whole. Blue Zones Project originated out of research by Dan Buettner, a National Geographic explorer who traveled around the world searching for the places where people were living the longest, healthiest lives. He discovered a number of places that he called the Blue Zones simply because he had a blue pen in hand and circled the areas on the map. So places like Sardinia, Italy, Okinawa, Japan, Loma Linda, California, they have a number of Seventh-day Adventists there. So he found that in these blue zones, people had commonalities. So what we term the Power 9 principles. The Power 9 principles really focus on moving naturally. So people that lived in these areas, they didn't go to the gym every day and work out for hours. They were hiking with their families. They were walking to their markets. They had the right outlook in life, so they know and can articulate their sense of purpose. They also take time to downshift and ensure their day is punctuated with periods of calm and time for themselves. They also eat wisely. So one of our sayings is plant slant. Eat meat occasionally. It doesn't have to be an essential part of every meal. And then belonging. So knowing your right tribe or having close connections in life extends your life.
And there's a couple of different principles and things that people can do with their lives to be more Blue Zones Project oriented. We will get into that in a little bit here, but how has Blue Zones Project evolved over time in this community from when it was first established?
So it was first established back in 2015, and as I mentioned previously, the Healthy Klamath Coalition brought it to Klamath Falls. When we first came to Klamath Falls, we were part of a national Blue Zones Project team, and our headquarters was based in Nashville, Tennessee. And we had a contract to be here for 3 years only. And our local community said, we don't want Blue Zones Project to go away. We want it to continue. So now we're in what we call phase 2 of Blue Zones Project, and we're completely locally funded, primarily by Sky Lakes Medical Center, but also by our local government, businesses, and we're continuously seeking grants.
Now, Blue Zones Project has a pledge associated with it. It's something that you can do on the website, but it's not like a follow us or else kind of thing, right? It's not really militaristic in its approach. It's more so an idea to improve yourself, right? What is the pledge all about?
Exactly. So we actually have a number of pledges. We have the personal pledge, what I think you are referring to, and it's a series of best practices that you can implement in your life today that can make you healthier. So some things you wouldn't necessarily think of as adopt a dog is one of them because it provides that companionship in your life. It's keep some tennis shoes by the door because it's easier to grab and go for a walk. It's Don't go to sleep with electronics in your bedroom because it's harder to downshift and take that time for yourself. And a number of small steps that you can do in your life today to become healthier and happier. We also have pledges in all of the various sectors that we work in. So we work in grocery stores, restaurants, with faith-based organizations, with schools, with work sites, and in policy. So tobacco policy, food systems, and built environment. And in all of these sectors, we have a menu of best practices. So when we walk into a work site that is looking to become healthier, they can review this menu of best practices and find the key things that they think that they can change in their organization to become healthier. So allowing your employees to exercise during work time, so taking 30 minutes to an hour to move naturally, or as we do in our office, workout videos. And it's a menu of best practices, and it's all about choice. So when we work with different organizations, we sit down with them, we go through these best practices, and they get to decide what they want to implement to become healthier themselves. And then there's a threshold, a certain number of best practices they have to implement until they can become Blue Zones Project approved. In our policy world, we also have a menu of best practices, and it's key policy areas that you can implement to just become a healthier community as a whole. And when we choose best practices in policy, we hold strategic planning sessions with key city staff, county staff, stakeholders in this specific policy area, and we come together yearly and choose the key policies that we want to work on together. And something that's beautiful about Blue Zones Project is it has brought a number of different people from a number of different organizations together working on a common goal to make Klamath Falls a better place to live, work, learn, and play.
So going into year 4 now of active operations in Klamath Falls, how many businesses and organizations, ballpark figure, have taken this official pledge to now be a part of Blue Zones?
So we have engaged over 6,150 community members. So they've signed that individual pledge. They've volunteered with Blue Zones Project, they've joined a walking group, or they've taken one of our purpose workshops. And then with organizations, we've worked with 47 different organizations, over 20 community groups, and facilitated purpose workshops for over 900 residents in Klamath Falls. And then we've also implemented nearly 24 community policies that have impacted our physical environment, our tobacco environment, and our food systems.
What is the actual importance in terms of daily lives of self-treatment, or at least self-consciousness in terms of treating, we always hear about mind, body, and soul, and kind of finding that happy balance in life? Self-treatment
is integral to health. Health isn't just about physical health. It incorporates your mind, your body, your soul, your finances. It is your life as a whole. And so if you take that time for yourself and you're living on purpose, you're moving naturally, you have connections in life, you're going to live a longer, happier life that's more fulfilled.
Medicine and the medical field has changed in recent years. Before, it seemed like they would only treat the problem. And there's been a lot more conscious effort in recent years towards preventative care, towards rather than waiting until you have cancer to get treated, maybe changing your diet to possibly avoid that and getting more physical exercise. What is the importance and tie-in with Blue Zones Project in terms of some of that preventative care towards a healthier life and overall, hopefully, reduction of medical bills in the long run?
Right, exactly. And that's one of our goals, is to reduce healthcare costs and chronic diseases. Prevention is key in healthcare. And in a sense, doctors in the hospital community, it's a form of sick care. The problem has already occurred and they're trying to fix it. Prevention, there's an analogy that healthcare is mopping up. There's a faucet of water and it's continuing to flow, and doctors and the healthcare system is mopping up the water on the floor. Blue Zones Project and prevention as a whole is turning off the water at the source. It's not trying to treat the problem after it's occurred. It's preventing it in the first place, and that is going to shift the health of our community and the quality of life and the well-being of residents in Klamath Falls.
So there are some base activities that Blue Zones Project actively promotes that people should implement into their lives. You don't necessarily have to do every single one of these, but it's about finding a happy balance with you. So what are these things that are established as the Power 9 rules of life?
So our Power 9, it starts with moving naturally. So some simple ways to move more is park farther away. When you're going to the grocery store, find that parking spot that's not right next to the entrance. Just get more steps in your life and in your day. It's also purpose. Finding your purpose and living on purpose increases your lifespan. And we have a purpose workshop coming up on March 13th at the Senior Center from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. So if you feel like you're wanting to discover your purpose, please join us for that event. Additionally, back to the Power 9, downshifting, taking that time for yourself, whether it's yoga, meditation, simply being quiet and alone and thinking, just taking that time for yourself. Also, we have the 80% rule. Don't eat until you're 100% full, 120% full. Try to stop eating when you feel 80% full, when you feel satisfied. The plant slant is our next Power 9. The plant slant is simply eating more fruits and vegetables. You do not have to have meat at every meal. So next we have wine at 5, spending time with your friends and socializing over a glass of wine, or we also call it friends at 5. If you don't have a healthy relationship with alcohol, just spend time with your friends. Belonging. The research shows that if you belong to a faith-based organization and you attend church or synagogue regularly, you actually extend your life 7 years longer. Family first. Putting your family first, prioritizing your family, spending time with your family, putting down those electronics when you're with your kids. It's important. And then the right tribe. That's back to belonging and having friends to call and feeling like you're a part of something larger than yourself.
So these are the Power 9, and if you can implement all of them into your life, great, but you don't necessarily have to do every single one. It's about finding a balance that works for you, right?
Exactly.
Making healthy choices. There are always times, we tell ourselves, okay, in the morning before work, I'm going to get up and I'm going to exercise, and then we hit the snooze bar. And then for lunch, okay, I'm going to go get a nice meal, but the fast food place is right there. What are things that we can do just to be proactive and self-motivating to make that first step to actually make a conscious change in our typical lifestyles?
So baby steps. Just choose one thing that you want to do today, whether it's walk a little further than yesterday. It doesn't have to be accomplishing everything all at one time. So a lot of times for New Year's resolutions, people hit the gym, they hit it hard, and after a month, they're no longer attending the gym anymore. So it's choosing one thing and trying to stick with it till it becomes a habit.
It is interesting, and I forget exactly where I heard it, but that exercise equipment is always priciest at the start of the year, right when people do New Year's resolutions, and the time to buy used is always by April or May because people have given up whatever they bought in January, and you can find it dirt cheap at that time.
So something that's nice about Blue Zones Project, we do try to focus on the areas where we live, work, learn, and play. So when you go to the grocery store, if it's a approved grocery store, you go to the Blue Zones Project checkout lane where there's healthy snacks in the aisle, a banana, a granola bar, nuts, to make it easier to pick that healthy choice rather than going through the checkout lane that has Snickers and junk. You're going to be more tempted to just take that impulse buy. So in a Blue Zones Project approved grocery store, you have the option of going in a checkout lane where you won't have, your impulse buy will be healthy. So then at work, we work with work sites to promote, like I said earlier, exercise during the work day, or the option to sit and stand at your desk, again, to just have more movement in your day. Places where we play, we work to increase connectivity and bike lanes and parks, and we want our community to be active, healthy, and focused on the family.
So give me a few examples of some of the things that have been done around the community in the 4 years that Blue Zones has been here that are tangible changes that have been implemented by Blue Zones Project.
So in our food systems realm, we've worked really hard to increase access to local food. We created a Klamath Farmers online marketplace. So it's a year-round marketplace where our community can go online and purchase directly from local farmers. And it's weekly You simply go to www.kfarm.org and you know exactly where your meat's coming from, exactly where your egg's coming from. There's microgreens on there, potatoes in the summertime, there's strawberries and different fruits, and it's a fabulous place to go to buy locally. We recently hosted a Find Your Farmer event, and the goal of this event was to bring together local producers, so farmers and ranchers, and commercial buyers, restaurants, grocery stores, schools, to foster a conversation and really make deals so that it's easier to buy and sell locally. In food systems, we're also going to host Lunch and Learn, so talking about key food systems issues. And food systems issues include everything from water in the Klamath Basin to farming in the Klamath Basin to buying locally and the barriers that exist. In tobacco policy, in the last 3 years, we have implemented a smoke-free parks, and now we're working on smoke-free events, so it's just creating a healthier place for kids to go to an event and not have to experience secondhand smoke. We are also doing quarterly litter cleanup, so on March 20th, it's Kick Butts Day, and we are inviting volunteers in the community to help us clean up downtown and Veterans Park. So it'll be from 11 to 12:30, and then Blue Zones Project is going to host a lunch for all volunteers in Sugarman's Corner at 12:30. So if anyone's interested, come on out. We're meeting at 11 o'clock at Sugarman's.
Everyone wants to be healthier, but sometimes it's difficult to make that first step. And sometimes I can see that there's genuine pushback. I recall last year when the bike lane in downtown opened, there were some people who were very frustrated with that change. I didn't realize that sidewalks were political until that came up last year. What kind of pushback from perhaps, the old guard who says, don't tell me how to live, I'm going to live my way and that's it. And how do you overcome those conversations when people are putting up a wall and saying, you're not going to tell me how to live my life?
Change is hard. Change is hard for everybody. And when we do get that pushback, we want to listen to an individual's concern, whether it's somebody who lives on Oregon Avenue and they're worried about where to put their trash, or but ultimately, with the bike lane, for instance, we hosted a number of public forums. Before we make a community change, we try to get as much community input as possible to make sure that this truly is the best thing for our community. And as I mentioned previously, the work that we do is driven by the community, is led by the community. We bring stakeholders together to decide what our plan will be, what policies will change. And so we try to get the community input and buy-in prior to changing a major landmark or whatnot. But again, change is hard, and there will always be naysayers. And we try to stay positive, point to the positive, and understand that they're frustrated and address any concerns that they have to the best of our ability.
Blue Zones Project is a great way to start the conversation and get things moving, but none of this stuff happens without community partners. I know Sky Lakes Medical Center is a huge aspect of the operation, but who are some of the other community partners that are actively involved in all of these efforts to implement healthier lifestyles across the Klamath Basin?
Oh, we have, seems like countless community partners. Sky Lakes Medical Center is a major part of it. Cascade Health Alliance, we work closely with the Klamath tribes. We have 21 work sites that are Blue Zones Project approved. So we work closely and regularly with those 21 work sites. We work very closely with the Public Health Department as well, and Healthy Klamath Coalition. And on the Healthy Klamath Coalition, it's made up of KBBH and there's so many people. It's hard to, I don't want to leave somebody out, but multiple community partners.
So since Blue Zones Project has now been in the community for several years, there's that education process to get to know who you are and what you're trying to do before people can really sort of accept sometimes what you're trying to change for the better. So how long was that education process from implementation of the program to where the community in general, you started seeing, okay, they're comfortable, they know what Blue Zones Project is, they know what you're trying to do, and they're happy to participate?
So one of our key measures of success is awareness and engagement in Blue Zones Project. So this is something that we have measured from year to year. And we work with Gallup, who they do an annual well-being index survey in Klamath Falls. And so in our first year of implementation, back in 2015, 24% of our community was aware of Blue Zones Project. In 2016, that rose to 52%. And in our latest survey in 2018, 74% of the community was aware of Blue Zones Project. And another thing that we asked them is around engagement. So you know about Blue Zones Project, but are you actually engaged in the project? And there was some interesting data that came from that. Individuals that are aware and engaged in Blue Zones Project are actually healthier. They're exercising more. They're eating more fruits and vegetables. They feel more community pride and give back to their community. So one of the key things that we're working on right now is to get more people engaged and involved in the project to hopefully lift well-being in our community as a whole.
In terms of physical activity, you've mentioned just walking more and taking hikes is great. Some people want to do more. Some people want to be more engaged, whether it's weightlifting or cardio. But finding the time, either before work or during the lunch break or after work, sometimes the snooze bar wins, and sometimes you get home and you're so tired, like, I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes next week, which becomes next month, which becomes next year, and you're not working towards physical improvement. Now, since Blue Zones Project relocated from downtown Klamath Falls to where you actually share an office now with the Herald and News, we have launched over the last couple of months an interesting exercise program here. And I can say that since I started participating, I think we started, November or December when we started doing that, I certainly feel a lot more physically fit. And not only am I physically fit, but on the days that we exercise in the office, I find that I'm more focused in the afternoons. My productivity goes up. I may be taking away time from the standard 8-hour shift to change and exercise for maybe half an hour. But I know, and my boss agrees with me, that in the afternoons when normally we start to kind of slow down and we start to get tired, that's sometimes when I'm getting some of my best work done. And that wasn't happening before we started exercising. So what was the motivation to launch this at-work lunchtime exercise program?
Well, we all live busy lives, and it is hard to motivate yourself to wake up at 5 a.m. before the rush of the day. Or for me, when I get home, it's time to hang out with my kids and spend time with my family. So I'm not going to say, oh, I'm going to go for a quick run, I'll see you later. So building exercise into our work life, it as you've learned, it increases productivity, but it doesn't take long. We exercise Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 12:15 to 12:45. Rather than run and get lunch, bring lunch that day and spend the time moving your body, and it really helps.
I recall the days when we first started that program and just how much sweat I was dropping and needed to take water breaks, to now I can get through all of our routines pretty easily. But there's different things that people can do. It doesn't have to be high intensity cardio. It can be things like yoga. It can be some of the more low-key things. There's things that people can do almost at their desk, or you just find a quiet corner. You don't need like a whole gym at your office to be able to do some of this stuff, right?
That is very correct. We actually have a desk workout that you can do by just you can still sit, but you're simply moving your legs and your arms. That's how simple it can be, simply adding more movement in your day. It doesn't have to be strenuous. It doesn't have to be high-intensity cardio. It can be taking a lap around your office building at lunch. It can be doing these desk stretches and exercises. Any little bit helps.
The other advantage I can think of exercising at work for employers that are willing to give employees time to do this is you're able to hold each other accountable.
Exactly.
There's some days where I'm like, oh man, I'm tired and I've got a huge workload. I don't know. No, they're expecting me to be there. I got to go change, got to go work out for half an hour. And there's times that I've showed up over on your side of the building and you're like, oh, you're here. I guess we actually have to work out.
That is a huge benefit for us as well, because when we were in our previous office, we tried to regularly work out, but if something we have a big project due the next day, it's easier to say, never mind. But when you have people relying on you to be there 3 times a week, you show up. So accountability is a huge factor. If you're looking for a little accountability in your life, we do have regular walking groups that meet at Steen Sports Park Thursday evening at 5:30. There's also a Saturday walking program at Steen Sports Park called Walk with the Doc, and there's the same group of people that show up, and you get to talk to a doctor.
Now, because there's several Blue Zones Project employees that have been participating in our work exercise regimes, I know that I'm feeling different just within a couple months. But what's the general opinion on your side of the building in terms of through our weekly exercise routines? Are you starting to notice a difference in daily energy and physical change and all that?
I would say certainly daily energy, productivity in the afternoon. You don't feel like you need that second cup of coffee to keep you going. As for physical change, I think I need to whip my diet a little more in shape to get there.
Blue Zones Project always has upcoming events, whether it's informational workshops or opportunities to exercise together. What are some of the big things that you are planning throughout the course of the year, and what can people actively get involved with now or coming up soon?
So we have the health fair this Saturday. You can come out to our booth at the fairgrounds. We'll be there from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. and we have some exciting prizes you can win. We also have the Purpose Workshop coming up at the Senior Center on March 13th. It's at 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. We have a tobacco litter cleanup, or cleaning up our downtown and Veterans Park on March 20th, and we'll provide a free lunch to volunteers after the cleanup. We're also starting to plan for Give Back Day. It will be March 16th. We are putting together a number of community give back projects, and we'll be looking for volunteers interested in giving back to our community together on that day. And then Bike to Work Day is coming up on May 17th, where we encourage individuals to bike, walk, run to work, or even carpool to work. And we have a number of prizes that there will be a number of stations set up around town where you can get a free breakfast and you can get raffle tickets to win prizes as well.
That's always nice to have that added incentive. Some people need that extra motivation of getting something out of it. It's not just the self-enrichment of knowing that you're doing something good for yourself, but knowing that, hey, if I do this, I'm going to get a prize or something. I remember my first job after college, I didn't have a car yet. And so out of necessity, I walked to work every day. But by doing so after 6 months, I had earned so many points within the company that I got a big giant box of free DVDs of movies just from actually showing up to work. And everyone was so jealous of that. It's like, I don't have a car. I didn't have a choice.
That's so great.
So how can people get actively involved in Blue Zones Project, whether it's upcoming events or just making one of these pledges? You know, the first step is always the hardest sometimes in terms of consciously making changes in your diet or exercise routine or being more social or any of the Power 9 steps. How can people get that first step out of the way? How do people get involved?
I think to like and follow us on Facebook. We post a number of events there and we keep you up to date on what's going on. If you're interested in being a regular volunteer and getting involved in some of our project implementation, we have 6 committees in the various sectors that we work on, and we're always actively seeking individuals that are passionate about making our community healthier. So you can reach out to us at info@healthyklamath.org or give us a call at 541-539-8031.
So now that Blue Zones has been here for several years and there's all these different programs that are available, what tangible change have you seen? What studies have been done to prove that this is making a difference in people's lives?
So we measure our success in a number of different ways. We have progress and outcome measures, we have community measures, and we work with Gallup ShareCare to do a yearly well-being index. So we want to see our overall well-being of our community change. And it has, while nationally, well-being is declining. However, Klamath Falls remains steady. So although we want to see it increase, we still felt like we're moving in the right direction. When everybody else is going down, we are remaining steady. And we did see some key indicators in this well-being index survey. Tobacco use has decreased by 24% in Klamath Falls since 2015. Our feeling of safety has increased by 14%, and our feeling of community pride has also increased by 14%. So those are some pretty great accomplishments.
So Blue Zones Project has been here for several years now and has implemented all of these great programs, and we're starting to see results. But what are the future plans for Blue Zones Project?
We will still continue to try to improve the well-being in Klamath Falls. That is something that we're really focused on. We want to continue to engage and get more individuals involved in Blue Zones Project, because individuals that are involved in Blue Zones Project are seeing those changes, the increased exercise, moving more. So we're actively trying to engage more individuals to increase well-being in Klamath Falls. We're working in a variety of different sectors. We're continuing to work in a variety of different sectors with work sites, with schools, with grocery stores and restaurants, and in our policy work as well.
So people can take the pledge, businesses can take the pledge, people can just make more conscious efforts amongst the Power Nine. I certainly would love to have some wine at 5 o'clock when I'm wrapping up the work day. Join a group at the local library. There's groups for if people like board games or video games. Just go out and be more social. Don't be so sedentary.
Exactly.
Especially if you have a job where you sit at a desk all day. Get up, find ways to get moving, be more active. And ultimately, it sounds like that results in a happier and healthier life.
Nicely said.
Merritt Driscoll is the director of Blue Zones Project in Klamath Falls, and we appreciate you taking time out to educate us about all the different ways that we can make little baby steps to improve our lives here in Klamath. Thank you very much, Merritt, for educating us on everything Blue Zones related.
Thank you for having me today.